Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the stars through the massive window. The ship was huge, bigger than any human vessel ever built. Its metal hull gleamed under the bright lights of the space dock. After 3 years of building and testing, today was finally the day they would leave Earth. "Captain, all systems are ready," said Chief Engineer Lisa Carter over the radio. Her voice came from deep inside the ship where the engines waited. "The new power core is working perfectly. I've never seen energy readings this high before." Jake nodded and looked around the bridge. His crew sat at their stations, checking their computers and screens. These were good people, the best Earth had to offer. They had trained for months to learn how to use the new technology that made this ship special. "Navigation, plot our course to the Kepler system," Jake ordered. Ben Hayes, the navigation officer, typed quickly on his keyboard. Numbers and star maps appeared on his screen. "Course laid in, Captain. We'll reach the neutral zone in 6 hours." The USS Defiance was not like other human ships. The scientists back on Earth had worked day and night to create something amazing. The ship's armor could do things that seemed impossible. When enemy weapons hit it, the shots would pass right through like the ship wasn't even there. The engineers called it quantum fold armor, but Jake just called it a miracle. The weapons were just as incredible. Instead of regular lasers or missiles, the USS Defiance had particle beams that could turn solid matter into pure energy. The targeting system was connected directly to the crew's minds through special helmets. They could aim and fire just by thinking about it. "Captain," said communications. "Officer Amy Foster, we're getting a message from Earth Command." The main screen flickered and showed Admiral Kate Sullivan sitting in her office on Earth. Her face looked serious, and Jake knew this meant trouble. "Captain Morrison, we have a situation," the Admiral said. "Our spy satellites have detected coalition forces gathering near Kepler. 300 ships from 6 different alien species. They're not just passing through. They're waiting for something." Jake felt his stomach tighten. The coalition was a group of alien races that didn't like humans very much. They thought humans were too young and too dangerous to be trusted with advanced technology. For years, they had been trying to limit human expansion into space. "Do we know what they want?" Jake asked. "Intelligence suggests they want to test our resolve," Admiral Sullivan replied. "They've been watching our ship construction for months. They know the USS Defiance is special, even if they don't know exactly how special." Lisa Carter's voice came over the radio again. "Captain, you need to see this. The zero-point energy generators are doing something weird. They're producing 120% efficiency. According to physics, that should be impossible." Jake looked at his science officer, Dr. Helen Ross. She was staring at her computer screen with wide eyes. "Captain, our energy output is beyond anything the Coalition has ever seen. If they detect our signature, they'll know we have technology they can't match." "That's exactly what we're counting on," Jake said. "Amy, send a message back to Admiral Sullivan. Tell her we're ready to proceed with the mission." The Admiral nodded on the screen. "Good luck, Captain. Remember, this is more than just a patrol mission. The Coalition needs to understand that humanity is not backing down. We've tried diplomacy for years, and they keep pushing us around. Maybe it's time they learned some respect." The communication ended, and Jake turned to his crew. "You all know what we're carrying. This ship represents 10 years of human innovation. Every system on board is beyond what the Coalition thinks is possible. Today, we show them what humans can really do." Tactical Officer Ryan Clark looked up from his station. "Captain, the neural link targeting system is online. I can feel the ship's weapons in my mind. It's like they're part of me." "Just remember to stay calm," Jake warned. "These systems respond to your thoughts. If you get angry or scared, the weapons might fire on their own." Ben Hayes finished his calculations. "Sir, we're ready to jump to hyperspace. All systems show green. Jake sat in his captain's chair and looked around the bridge one more time. His crew was ready. The ship was ready. Earth was counting on them to show that humans belonged among the stars, not hiding in their own solar system like children. "Lisa, bring the engines to full power," Jake ordered. Deep in the ship, the revolutionary fusion cores came to life. Energy flowed through systems that used technology the Coalition thought was impossible. The quantum-full generators hummed with power. That came from places beyond normal space. The zero-point energy collectors drew power from the empty space between atoms. "All stations report ready," Amy announced. "Take us out," Jake said. The USS Defiance moved away from the space dock slowly at first, then faster. The ship's engines left a trail of blue light as it headed toward the edge of Earth's solar system. In a few minutes, they would jump to hyperspace and begin their journey to the Kepler system. Jake didn't know that Coalition scouts were already watching them. Hidden ships with advanced sensors were recording the USS Defiance's energy signature. The alien captains couldn't believe what they were seeing. The human ship was producing more power than their entire fleets combined. "Jump to hyperspace in 10 seconds. Ben announced. Jake gripped his chair as space twisted around them. The stars stretched into lines, and suddenly they were moving faster than light itself, heading toward a meeting that would change everything. The USS Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system. Captain Jake Morrison looked at the main screen and felt his heart skip a beat. The space in front of them was filled with alien ships, hundreds of them stretching out in perfect formation like a metal wall blocking their path. "Count them," Jake ordered. Navigation Officer Ben Hayes worked at his computer, his fingers flying over the controls. 300 ships, Captain. I see Xanthari dreadnoughts, Krellin. Battle cruisers, Vorthan destroyers, and ships from 3 other species I don't recognize." The alien fleet was massive. Each ship was at least as big as the old human warships, and many were much larger. The biggest one sat in the center of the formation. It was dark gray with sharp edges and weapon ports covering every surface. Red lights blinked along its hull like angry eyes. "That's the Voidbringer," said Dr. Helen Ross, reading from her database. "The flagship of Admiral Kethver of the Xanthari Empire. It's 3 times the size of our ship." Communications Officer Amy Foster looked up from her station. "Captain, we're receiving the transmission from the alien fleet." "Put it on screen," Jake said. The main display changed to show the inside of an alien bridge. The creature sitting in the command chair was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. Its eyes were large and black, and when it spoke, its voice was deep and harsh. "Human vessel, this is Admiral Kethver of the Coalition Fleet. You are in violation of galactic maritime law. Submit to inspection immediately or face the consequences." Jake stood up from his chair. He had dealt with aliens before, but never this many at once. "Admiral, this is Captain Morrison of the USS Defiance. We are in neutral space conducting routine patrol. We have every right to be here." "The aliens." 4 arms moved as he spoke. "Your ship carries unknown technology that threatens galactic stability. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." "I'm afraid I can't do that," Jake replied calmly. "We are not subject to Coalition authority." In neutral space, Admiral Kethver's large eyes seemed to glow with anger. "Then you have chosen your fate. All ships, prepare to fire." The communication ended and the alien fleet began to move. Weapon ports opened along the hulls of hundreds of ships. Energy started building in plasma cannons and particle beam arrays. Fighter squadrons launched from the larger vessels, filling space with small, fast attack craft. "Red alert," Jake announced. "All hands to battle stations." Alarms sounded throughout the USS Defiance. The crew had trained for this moment, but none of them had ever faced odds this bad. 300 alien ships against one human vessel. It should have been suicide. "Shields up," Jake ordered. "Actually, Captain," said Chief Engineer Lisa Carter over the radio, "we don't need shields. The quantum fold armor is already active. Their weapons can't touch us in this phase state." The first wave of alien fighters reached the USS Defiance and opened fire. Plasma bolts and energy beams shot toward the human ship from every direction. The crew watched in amazement as the weapons passed right through their hull like it was made of empty air. "The ship didn't even shake." "Impossible," whispered Tactical Officer Ryan Clark. "It's like we're not even here." The alien fighters circled around for another attack, their pilots probably confused about why their weapons had no effect. The larger ships in the Coalition fleet began firing their main guns. Massive energy beams that could destroy a mountain shot toward the USS Defiance. Every single shot passed harmlessly through the ship. Admiral Kethavo's voice came over the radio again. But this time he wasn't giving orders. He was asking his own people questions. "What do you mean the weapons have no effect?" "Check your targeting." "Systems, fire again." Jake looked at Ryan Clark. "Can you get target locks on their ships?" Ryan put on his neural link helmet and closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were glowing with a soft blue light. "Captain, I have firing solutions for the entire fleet. The computer is connected to my brain. I can see every ship out there like they're right in front of me." "Pick 12 of their cruisers," Jake said. "Fire when ready." Ryan thought about firing, and the USS Defiance responded instantly. Particle beam arrays along the ship's hull came to life. 12 beams of pure energy shot out toward the alien fleet. Each beam found its target perfectly, the 12 Coalition. Cruisers didn't explode. They didn't catch fire or break apart. They simply stopped existing. One moment they were there, solid metal ships with thousands of crew members. The next moment there was nothing but empty space and a brief flash of light. The remaining alien ships stopped firing. For a long moment, space was completely quiet. Then the Coalition fleet began to move away from the USS Defiance as fast as their engines could carry them. "Amy, are you picking up their communications?" Jake asked. Amy nodded, her face pale. "Yes, Captain. They're using words I've never heard before. The computer translates them as impossible, violation of natural law, and threat to everything." "We know." Admiral Kethver's final transmission was broadcast to all Coalition ships. "Retreat immediately. Record everything. This changes everything we thought we knew about human capabilities. The Council must be warned." The alien fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving the USS Defiance alone in the Kepler system. Jake looked around. His bridge, his crew was staring at their screens in shock. They had just made 300 enemy ships run away without taking a single hit. "Sir," Amy said quietly, "I'm picking up emergency transmissions being sent to every Coalition world. They're calling this an extinction-level threat and demanding immediate action from their governments." Jake sat back in his chair. They had won the battle, but he had a feeling this was just the beginning of something much bigger. The news spread across Coalition space like wildfire. On every alien world, emergency meetings were called. Government leaders who had never spoken to each other before suddenly found themselves in the same room, all talking about the same thing: the human ship that had made their greatest fleet run away. On the Zenthari homeworld, Admiral Kethver sat in a dark room filled with his military advisors. The recording of the battle played over and over on the main screen. Every time they watched the 12 cruisers disappear, the room grew quieter. "Play it again," said General Morthak. The chief military advisor. The recording showed the human ship sitting calmly in space, while hundreds of plasma bolts passed through it like it was a ghost. Then came the moment that made everyone's blood run cold. 12 perfect beams of light reached out and touched 12 Coalition ships. The ships didn't explode or break apart. They just stopped being there, How is this possible? Asked another advisor. Our weapons are the most powerful in the galaxy. Nothing can ignore plasma fire like that. Admiral Kethver stood up slowly. His forearms were shaking with anger and fear. Send for Dr. Veltar. If anyone can explain this, it's him. Dr. Veltar was the Coalition's best scientist. He had studied physics for over 200 years and had written the laws that govern space warfare. When he arrived at the meeting, his usually calm face looked worried. I've studied the recordings for 3 days, Dr. Veltar said. The human ship appears to exist in a different phase of reality. Their matter is somehow shifted so that our weapons pass through them harmlessly. That's impossible, General Morthic said. Matter can't just change phases like that. Apparently it can, Dr. Veltar replied. But that's not the worst part. Their weapons don't just destroy ships. They convert matter directly into energy. The amount of power required for that should be impossible to generate. Meanwhile, aboard the USS Defiance, the human crew was making their own discoveries. Dr. Helen Ross worked in her laboratory, running tests on their quantum fold systems. She had been awake for 36 hours straight, trying to understand what their ship could really do. Captain Morrison, please come to the lab, she said over the radio. You need to see this. Jake found Helen staring at a wall of computer screens filled with numbers and graphs. She looked excited and scared at the same time. We can do more than just defend ourselves, Helen said. The quantum fold system can shift us offensively too. We can phase our weapons to pass through enemy shields and armor completely. Nothing they have can stop us. Chief Engineer Lisa Carter joined them, wiping oil from her hands. It gets better, Captain. I've been studying our power systems. The zero-point generators aren't just pulling energy from empty space. They're reaching into parallel dimensions. We're literally stealing power from other realities. Jake sat down heavily. Are you telling me we're breaking the laws of physics? We're not breaking them, Helen said. We're just using laws that other species don't know about yet. The problem is, if we can do this, what else might be possible? What if someone built a weapon that could destroy entire star systems? Back on Earth, Admiral Kate Sullivan was dealing with her own problems. The Coalition had sent emergency messages to every human colony and trading post. The aliens were demanding answers about the USS Defiance and its impossible technology. Admiral, said her aide, we're getting reports from all over human space. Coalition ships are gathering at our borders. They're not attacking, but they're clearly preparing for something. Admiral Sullivan looked at the star map on her wall. Red dots showed Coalition fleets moving toward human territory. There were more ships gathering than she had ever seen before. Get me President Peterson, she ordered. On the Zenthari homeworld, Dr. Veltar was presenting his findings to the full Coalition Council. Representatives from 47 different species sat in the Great Hall, all listening to his report. The human technology represents a fundamental threat to galactic stability, Dr. Veltar explained. If this spreads to other species, it could lead to an arms race that destroys us all. Imagine if the Krellin Empire had weapons that could phase through matter. Or if the Vorthan Republic could draw unlimited power from other dimensions. A representative from the crystalline hegemony stood up. What are you suggesting, Doctor? I'm suggesting that this technology be banned by galactic law. No species should have access to reality-altering weapons. The risk is too great. The council erupted in debate. Some species wanted to study the human technology. Others demanded that it be destroyed immediately. The fear in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Aboard the USS Defiance, Captain Morrison received a priority message from Earth Command. Admiral Sullivan's face appeared on the screen, and she looked tired. Jake, we have a situation. The Coalition has called for an emergency session of the Galactic Council. They're accusing us of developing weapons that violate natural law. They want our technology banned. Can they do that? Jake asked. If enough species vote for it, yes. We're looking at a complete trade embargo at minimum. At worst, they might declare war on all of humanity. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was listening to every word. These were good people who had volunteered to serve their species. Now they might be the reason humanity was thrown out of galactic society. What are our orders, Admiral? Jake asked. For now, continue your patrol. But be ready for anything. The next few days will determine whether humanity has a future among the stars, or if we'll be forced to stand alone. The communication ended, leaving Jake and his crew in silence. Outside their ship, space looked peaceful and empty. But somewhere, out there, the entire galaxy was deciding whether humans were too dangerous to be allowed to exist. The Galactic Council met on Concordia, a massive space station that floated in neutral space between the territories of different alien species. The station was built like a giant wheel, spinning slowly to create artificial gravity. Representatives from 47 different species had come to decide humanity's fate. The main council chamber was enormous, with seats arranged in circles that rose toward the ceiling. Each species had their own section, and the air was filled with different languages being translated by computer systems. At the center of the room stood a raised platform where speakers could address the entire assembly. Admiral Kethver of the Zenthari Empire stepped onto the platform first. His 4 arms gestured as he spoke, and his voice carried clearly through the chamber's speakers. Fellow beings of the galaxy, we face a threat unlike any we have seen before. The humans have developed technology that breaks the fundamental laws of physics. Their ships can ignore our weapons completely while destroying our vessels with ease. The recording of the battle played on screens throughout the chamber. Representatives from dozens of species watched in silence as the human ship made the coalition. Fleet retreat. Whispers filled the air as species that had never agreed on anything before found themselves united in fear. Dr. Veltar took the platform next. The old scientist's voice was calm, but his words sent chills through the audience. I have spent my entire career studying the laws that govern our universe. What the humans have achieved should be impossible. Their quantum-fold technology allows them to exist in multiple phases of reality simultaneously. Their zero-point energy generators draw power from dimensions we cannot even detect. A representative from the Aquatic Federation raised a tentacle. Could this technology be used for peaceful purposes? Perhaps, Dr. Veltar replied. But the same systems that make their ships invulnerable could theoretically be scaled up to destroy entire planets. If their energy generators were overloaded, they could create tears in space-time itself. The chamber erupted in worried voices. Species that had been enemies for centuries were suddenly talking to each other about the human threat. The crystalline hegemony speaker stood up, her voice ringing like crystal bells. We have all seen what happens when one species gains too much power too quickly. The Vorthan Wars nearly destroyed half the galaxy. The Krellin expansion left 3 worlds uninhabitable. Now humans have technology that makes both of those conflicts look like children's games. Captain Jake Morrison and a small diplomatic team from the USS Defiance sat in the human section of the chamber. They had been allowed to attend the hearing, but they could feel the hostile stares from every direction. Jake's team included Dr. Helen Ross and Communications Officer Amy Foster, both chosen for their ability to explain complex ideas in simple terms. When it was humanity's turn to speak, Jake walked to the center platform. The chamber fell silent, and he could feel thousands of alien eyes watching him. Honored representatives, I understand your concerns, but I want you to understand ours as well. For 50 years, humanity has tried to find its place in galactic society. We have followed your laws, respected your borders, and asked for nothing more than fair treatment. Jake activated a holographic display showing human colonies throughout the galaxy. Many were located in systems that other species had. rejected as worthless. We have been pushed to the edges of known space. When we try to expand, we are told there is no room. When we develop new technology, we are accused of being dangerous. We built advanced ships because we had to protect ourselves. Dr. Helen Ross joined Jake on the platform. Her voice was steady as she explained their technology. Our quantum fold systems were developed after years of studying natural phenomena that already exist in the universe. We didn't break any laws of physics. We just learned to use laws that others hadn't discovered yet. Every species in this chamber has the same opportunity to advance their science. The debate that followed lasted for 3 days. Some species argued for studying human technology instead of banning it. The Traders Guild wanted to know if the technology could be used for faster space travel. A few smaller species suggested that humans might be valuable allies instead of enemies, but fear was stronger than curiosity. Species after species stood up to speak against humanity. The Xanthari Empire claimed that human technology threatened military balance. The Krellin Republic worried about their own security. Even neutral species expressed concern about the precedent humanity had set. On the 3rd day, the vote was called. Each species could vote to ban human technology, allow it with restrictions, or take no action. The chamber fell silent as the votes were tallied. The Xanthari Empire voted to ban. The Krellin Republic voted to ban. The Vorthan Federation voted to ban. One by one, species that had never agreed on anything before united in their decision. When the final tally was announced, the result was clear. 31 species voted to ban human reality manipulation technology. 16 voted against the ban, and 3 abstained. The chamber erupted in noise. Some representatives cheered while others argued. Admiral Kethfer stepped forward to read the official decision. By majority vote of the Galactic Council, Resolution 2847 is hereby passed. All reality manipulation technology is banned from use in recognized galactic space. Species using such technology have 30 standard days to decommission their equipment and submit it for safekeeping by a joint coalition committee. Jake felt his heart sink. 30 days to give up everything that made humanity strong. 30 days to accept second-class status in a galaxy that had never wanted them as equals. Furthermore, Admiral Kethfer continued, failure to comply will result in immediate trade embargo and potential military action to enforce this ban. As Jake and his team left the chamber, Amy Foster whispered to him, Captain, I'm picking up communications from every human colony. They're all asking the same question. What do we do now? Jake looked back at the alien representatives, many of whom were already celebrating their victory. We go home and let Earth decide our future. The emergency meeting on Earth brought together every important leader in human space. President Lavra Peterson sat at the head of a long table in the secure conference room beneath the Capitol building. Around her were admirals, generals, scientists, and politicians who would help decide humanity's future. Admiral Kate Sullivan placed a data pad on the table and looked around the room. The situation is clear. We have 30 days to surrender our advanced technology or face the consequences. The coalition has made it very simple for us. Defense Secretary John Baker shifted uncomfortably in his chair. He was an older man who had spent his career trying to keep humanity safe through diplomacy. We have to consider the numbers, Madam President. They have thousands of ships and control most of the galaxy's trade routes. If we fight them, we fight alone. Not necessarily, said Admiral Sullivan. Our technology gives us advantages they can't match. The USS Defiance proved that. In the Kepler system, one of our ships defeated their entire fleet without taking damage. Dr. Margaret Torres, the head of Human Scientific Research, leaned forward. The question isn't whether we can win battles. The question is whether we can survive as an independent species. If we're cut off from galactic trade, our colonies will struggle to survive. President Peterson had been quiet during the discussion, but now she spoke. What does Captain Morrison think? He's the one who has to live with whatever decision we make. The main screen activated, showing the bridge of the USS Defiance. Captain Jake Morrison appeared, along with his senior officers. They were still in the Kepler system, patrolling the border between human and coalition space. Captain, you've heard the debate, President Peterson said. What's your recommendation? Jake looked tired, but his voice was steady. Madam President, my crew and I have talked about this for hours. We all joined the service to protect humanity. If we surrender our technology now, we'll never be treated as equals. The coalition will always see us as a threat to be controlled. Dr. Helen Ross stepped forward on the screen. President Peterson, I've been studying our technology since the battle. We're not just ahead of the coalition in weapons and defense. We're ahead in everything. Our engines are faster, our computers are smarter, and our life support systems are more efficient. We don't need them as much as they need us. Defense Secretary Baker shook his head. You're talking about war with the entire galaxy. Even if we win every battle, we can't be everywhere at once. They could attack our colonies while our ships are protecting Earth. Admiral Sullivan stood up and walked to the star map on the wall. Actually, John, I think you're wrong. We don't need to fight the entire galaxy. We just need to make them respect us. She pointed to regions of space beyond the galactic rim. There are hundreds of star systems out there that nobody has explored yet. New worlds, new resources, new opportunities. We could establish our own sphere of influence. You're talking about abandoning galactic civilization, Baker said. No, Admiral Sullivan replied. I'm talking about creating our own civilization. One where humans are the leaders instead of the followers. Captain Morrison's voice came from the screen. There's something else to consider. The coalition is afraid of our technology, but they're also curious about it. If we leave galactic space, some species might follow us. Others might want to trade with us in secret. President Peterson walked to the window and looked out at the city below. Millions of humans lived their daily lives, unaware that their leaders were deciding whether to go to war with the galaxy. She thought about her children and grandchildren and what kind of future they would have. Captain Morrison, if I give the order to reject the coalition's demands, will your crew follow it? Without question, Madam President. We swore an oath to defend humanity. That oath doesn't change just because the odds are against us. The President turned back to the table. Admiral Sullivan, how many ships like the USS Defiance can we build? We have 3 more under construction now. With the new shipyards, we could have 20 within 2 years. Dr. Torres, can our colonies survive without coalition trade? The scientist nodded. It won't be easy, but yes. We've been developing closed-loop systems for years. Our colonies are more self-sufficient than most people realize. President Peterson made her decision. She walked back to her chair and sat down, then looked directly at the camera that would broadcast her words to the entire galaxy. Citizens of Earth and all human colonies, fellow members of the galactic community, today I address you at a crossroads. In human history, the Galactic Council has demanded that we surrender our most advanced technology and accept limits on our growth and development. She paused, knowing that her next words would change everything. I am here to tell you that humanity rejects these demands. We will not surrender our technology. We will not accept second-class status. We will not be told where we can live or how we can defend ourselves. The room was completely silent. To the coalition I say this. Humanity is leaving your sphere of influence. We will establish our own territories beyond the galactic rim. We will protect our colonies and trade routes with our own ships. If you want to trade with us, you will do so as equals, not as our masters. President Peterson looked directly at Captain Morrison on the screen. Captain Morrison, you have new orders. Take the USS Defiance beyond the galactic rim. Find new worlds. For humanity, show the universe that we will not be contained. Jake saluted. Yes, Madam President, we'll make you proud. As the communication ended, Jake turned to his crew. You heard the President. Set course for the galactic rim. We're going to find humanity a new home. The USS Defiance turned away from Coalition space and headed for the unknown regions beyond the galaxy's edge. Behind them, they left a civilization that had rejected humanity. Ahead of them lay infinite possibilities and the chance to build something better.